So it's been a crazy week. You've got the CEO stuff. You've got a lot of stuff going on with Sony. You got stuff going on with Microsoft. You got promises being made. You've got, everybody kind of up in arms. It was a crazy week for gaming news, that's for sure. And, I have to say, it doesn't get any easier because, in one day you have a bunch of Xbox fans going, well, I'll just play, the Xbox games or the PlayStation games through Steam on the next Xbox or whatever, which always kind of presented sort of big issues to me anyway, because it always felt like, like in reality, are people realistically going to pay up to $1,500 or more for this Xbox PC anyway to play that stuff? Like, I kind of had my doubts to begin with, but now that we got a new CEO for Xbox, I'm of the belief I have a little bit more optimistic take than some people would think. You know what I mean? I actually think you don't bring somebody in. This Sharma person has aspirations to be the CEO of all of Microsoft one day, so I don't think you want a big failure on your mark at running something. So this could be kind of her trial run to do something. I think she has the authority to make some changes at the Xbox level. So we'll see what happens. If you wanted things to fail, you could have just kept things status quo, to be honest with you. But anyway, Microsoft has now unveiled this weekend's free play days. If you have Game Pass subscription, you can play some cool games. And I have to say, these are some cool ones. I usually say, hey, there's not a whole lot, but yeah, and not all these require Game Pass, by the way. So if you were kind of wondering, hey, do I need Game Pass to play all of these? Not all of them do. And so that's like, kind of the fun thing about this. You don't need Game Pass for everything, but, it certainly doesn't hurt. And listen, I think this is cool because you get the idea of playing a PlayStation-made game for a change that could actually end up being pretty good if all things kind of hold up to where they are. So, we'll see. So anyway, of the 6 games, by the way, Moving Out 2 is already included in Game Pass Ultimate and Premium, so it's worth playing if you're an Essential subscriber. If you're interested in checking out the Chaotic Party game, all achievements can be unlocked pretty quickly. But anyway, also, here's what you can check out. Marathon. Yeah, that's right. This weekend is the Marathon Server Slam. And since the shooter doesn't fully launch until March 5th, it doesn't support Xbox achievements. But if you're curious about Bungie's next game, and you're not sure whether or not to buy it, this is the perfect time to see what the extraction shooter is all about. I gave it a little bit of a whirl already. It's not bad. I think the game actually looks fairly good. For what it is. I think originally I wasn't really impressed with it, but I think the shooting's solid, and I think it's got some cool stuff to it. Realistically, so why not go ahead and see what it's like and see if it's something that you're going to personally be interested in, because again, you never know until you try it, and it's super easy to just go out there and try it and give it a whirl and see if it's something that you're going to be interested in, because again, Microsoft, who knows what they're going to do in the future, but being able to test out a free game, hey, that sounds like a bonus to me, just as being an Xbox owner or whatever. Also, I mean, if you're a PlayStation owner, you can download it for free as well, so, give it a try, see if it's something you wanted. The Sinking City Remastered can be completed in under 12 hours according to estimates, but the achievement list is peppered with missable achievements, so make sure you have a good look through the achievements before tackling that one. Oh, this one's a really cool one. Atari 50. The Anniversary Collection. Estimates suggest you can unlock all achievements in less than 15 hours. If you have a clear weekend and don't mind a challenge, you could nab a free 1,000 gamer score from this one. I think it's that the Atari Collection is awesome. I actually own that just because it was so cool to kind of go back and be able to play a lot of these Atari games and and see what was up kind of from the start or whatever. So yeah, like I love the fact that we can play like the Atari games, and there's all kinds of stuff on this collection that you can like play through and just have a good time, especially if you're a nostalgia person. The one thing I will say is I wish that it would have had more. I wish it would have had Activision games, like stuff like Pitfall and things like that. Like, that's the real shame about Atari, is that, the licensed games and stuff like that for for that stuff, a lot of those games aren't in there. So that's kind of a lame thing. City Builder Anno 117 and the cuddly first-person shooter Stuffed. There's not enough data to provide a completion estimate. Both games are worth checking out over the next few days if you have some time. So yeah, nice to kind of see that actually happen. So again, the games are Anno 117, Atari 50, the Anniversary Collection, Moving Out 2, Stuffed, which I think I have that game too, Marathon, which is free play days for all, and the Sinking City Remastered is free play days for all. So yeah, again, nice to see that kind of come about, and that fans are going to be able to have a good amount of games to play this weekend, earn some achievements, and just have a good time playing some games for a change. So often we see people kind of just up in arms about things, and there's not really a reason for that. I love the fact that there's an opportunity to play some games. And listen, be optimistic, right? Like, I know some people are going to be, try to be not optimistic or try to be down on some of this stuff. But for me, I look at it and I say, hey, I choose to believe that, they're going to do something that's going to change Xbox's fortunes around, and I firmly believe that they're going to do something like that, because why else bother with hiring somebody new? And I stick by that. I know some people think I'm foolish to kind of be on like that side of things again, but I can't help it. I just really feel like at the end of the day, like, people go, oh well, it's all Satya and all what Amy Hood wants and all that stuff, but wasn't that the reason why Phil Spencer was doing all that stuff? And if so, then what would be the big deal? Like, I don't understand the thought process behind, oh hey, people are gonna do this or that, or kind of claim this way or that way. But so for me, I tend to be a little bit optimistic. I would love to see that competition come back, and especially since now it looks like Sony's going to be pulling back on the exclusive games going to PC. Like, their first party stuff doesn't look like it's going to be going to PC anymore. So that's going to be, I look at that as a pretty big deal, to be honest with you. Like, is one of those things going to be kind of crazy to look at and see how Microsoft responds to that? Or is Microsoft going to pull games off of PlayStation? I would love to see what they're going to do, because I always thought it was a little bit weird the way that Microsoft was kind of handling this whole thing anyway. It's like a lot of their releases, even on PC, is like spitting in the wind, right? And I'm just honest about this stuff too. It's like there's only so much stuff you can put out, because there's already so many games they put out, just in general, right? Like indies and all this kind of stuff. And so it's hard to kind of catch hold of a game doing well. I know a lot of people will go, hey, this Steam's in the top 10 paid Steam games or whatever, but that doesn't mean much either. It's like, with that whole thing where Final Fantasy was in the top 10 on MPD, and you look at Xbox, but it never made it past like 250th most played game. So, like, that stuff doesn't really mean much when there's games coming out, when there's nothing new coming out. Like, it wouldn't take much to go out there and beat some of these other games. You know what I mean? Especially when you look at like Red Dead Redemption 2 was ahead of Final Fantasy sales on the MPT for Xbox alone, right? So how many copies of Red Dead 2 do you think sold to be ahead of Final Fantasy? I mean, I can't imagine that it was a ton, to be out there at number 9 or whatever it was, or 8. Yet that probably dictates that the Final Fantasy game didn't do as well as initially thought. So, again, it's all up in the air right now. Anything can happen, but it is nice to see that there's some games. Are you guys looking forward to playing any of this stuff? Give Marathon a try. Like I said, it's not bad. You know, I don't think it's anything super amazing yet, but that's, I guess, part of the idea. We could see something come from it. But I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and opinions on this. Let me know. I certainly do appreciate it. Rack 'em up, fact 'em up, Crap Gamer 'em up. I'll catch you here next time. Crap Gamer out.